Ready.
All right. We're good? All right. Welcome to Comp for the Storm 2019. So this year, we are very excited to start off the party with World of Podcasts, the Blizzard General Panel, and we have quite a group for you to talk about BlizzCon, Blizzard, games, though don't ask certain members of the panel what's going to happen tomorrow because they won't tell you. Namely, we have Terran from Blizzard. We have Thyst from Lagging Balls and Convert to Raid. Perculia from Wowhead. Garrett from the Angry Chicken. JR from BlizzPro. And Dredscythe from Scythe and Shield. And I am Seraphis, I am one of the organizers, and I thank you all for joining us, and now I turn it over to Garrett. Have fun.
Thank you. Also, just before we get started, let's hear it for the Con Before the Storm crew for putting this together.
Yeah.
Pop it. So the party has already started, and the gates to BlizzCon aren't even open yet. It has been quite the year for Blizzard games, so I figured we would kick things off, kind of start, talking about 2019 as a whole. And I'm curious what everyone's favorite in-game happening. Well, what is your favorite memory from 2019 for the various Blizzard games that we all enjoy? And I'm going to throw it to Terran Gregory first, down at the end.
Yeah, like I'm not biased at all in any of this stuff.
Everyone on this table is biased. It's okay.
Yeah. The first thing that comes to mind, since I have to go first, I don't have any time to think about this. I would say the Crossroads moment in Battle for Azeroth patch 8.2. Thrall and Jaina coming together again after all the time that they had been estranged was pretty profound. Franchise level just reflection and really, really meaningful to see how much they've both grown on their own journeys, having learned from their pain and their mistakes, and find themselves now a little bit older, a little bit wiser, facing the same world but with new eyes.
Yeah, this entire expansion, as far as just how many high quality cinematics have been a part of it, a part of the narrative. I've been digging it. I was really happy to see that reunion as well.
Awesome.
Next. Good job.
This? We'll just go down the line.
Yeah, that's easy. I won't forget. Probably crushing all of the raids with my raid team. Hi guys. And becoming a hamster main. I never thought it would happen. I thought that hero was way out of my depth. I had no idea. I didn't even like the hamster at first because I was like, oh, my immersion. And then I thought, Winston, plus it's not real anyway, but it's real, it's real in here. But no, just grapple whacking people, it gave me the thrill that I was missing. I'd never been a small mammal in a robot with physics and a grapple before, and I'm really enjoying that. And I feel like it's really enriched my life.
So I really enjoyed patch 8.2 for a few reasons. Meeting Ashara was tons of fun, really snooty, snarky night elf, putting everyone down, slithering around with a wine glass in her hand, and just making fun of everyone and having a fabulous time. And patch 8.2 also introduced Mecha Pepe, who shoots death lasers out of his eyes, and he's very cute and terrifying.
Since we're going down the line, I'll just adhere to that rule that came out of nowhere. I have just been floored by the rate of updates in Hearthstone. We were surprised by the first ever event where they buffed a ton of cards from the Boomsday expansion, and it was right in between two expansions, which is something that on the Angry Chicken podcast, we've been asking for them to do something to inject kind of surprise and some freshness when the meta kind of plateaus out. But we never really knew what it was, and we spitballed so many ideas. And so when that buff event hit, We were like, oh my God, this is incredible. Like, this is going to be so rad. And it actually went live. And yeah, they had to roll back a couple of the buffs because they were a little too strong. But overall, it's been amazing. And the rest of the buffs have stayed live all year. And then they hit us recently with the Wild event where they've reintroduced wild cards. Okay, we're all probably a little beat up by Evolve and Rabbits right now. But beyond that, just again, the rate at which they've been updating that game, 2019 has been such a pleasant surprise for constant shifting updates to Hearthstone, especially the standard meta. I've really just been floored and impressed. So that's mine. I'm not even on the Hearthstone panel this year, but I need to get that out. So, JR?
I mean, you took mine basically. So, but no, that
Isn't it good though?
No, Team 5 has done a fantastic job, absolutely, this year on just making Hearthstone just. I don't know why, but the game feels like it is the best that's ever been since like the very beginning, and it's just the Year of the Dragon and the way that they're doing the single player content with that. I've been playing a lot more single player than I ever have in Hearthstone's history. That's been a lot of fun, and then just them making changes to the PvP aspect of the game, with, like you said, with the buffs and adding the classic cards in recently. Yeah, there's some problems here and there with balance changes, but overall, it's been a really good experience.
I hope we didn't take yours too.
Maybe feels a little bit early, because who knows what Diablo in stores for us during BlizzCon itself coming tomorrow. So that was standing. I would actually say the Classic launch. And it's not because I was one of those people who wanted Classic. In fact, I was a little bit against it initially. But when it came out, I was like, I'll give it a month. I can give it a month of my time, see how memorable or that grind was back then, and just the fostering of the community, how the game didn't force you to do anything, but it was a great facilitator of whatever you wanted to do, whether it was PvP or PvE, just going around trying to get it in caverns of time, exploring the world, all the things that we just did when we probably had much more time and much less responsibilities. It was just great to relive that, do that grind. Really, every upgrade felt like an upgrade. Working your way back to your epic mount and feeling that sense of accomplishment. And
I'm sorry, you already have your epic mount?
yes,
Oh.
cleared MC.
All right, well, he's going to moderate because
yeah.
clearly I am not up to the task.
And I have a 7-month ERL too, so you can do it too. But yeah, I mean, that's probably been the greatest thing, and just, guild, like-minded individuals, all that we thought we lost along the way 15 years ago, but no, it's always been right there, and it's always been in the community, and I feel it helped bring that back and probably snapped us out a little bit of our stink, so to speak.
I mean, it was really unique. The age-old adage of you can't go home, but boy, it really did feel like going home to me.
Definitely.
It's like, wow, I got to relive it with, albeit a lot more intelligence as to how to play the game correctly. So I was a terrible hunter back in 2005 is when I started playing. So yeah, you didn't want me in your dungeon. You really didn't. I was the reason hunters had a bad name.
Have you learned anything since then?
My stutter stepping's okay.
Okay.
I can at least do that.
So you're a slightly better hunter.
Yeah, don't ask me about Trank Shot. I need to save my gold.
Okay.
Thanks. But yeah, beyond that, I'm going to open up the floor here. So from here on, I mean, we're all podcasters. Terran. I'm not going to single you out. But at any point, if anyone wants to get in on the conversation, by all means. Although, Terran, I'm curious, how has Classic been for you? Because, like I was saying, BFA has been, from the outside looking in, really, I've just been enjoying the living hell out of all of the cinematics that have been in this one, and just it felt like the extra polish given to the narrative side of things. what was it on the flip side with Classic, something like that coming out where going into it, like there's not really going to be a lot of cinematics. Like, were you just like the rest of us? Did you get a chance to just kind of be a Blizzard fan again and just like, oh, I'm just going to dive back in and not think about it as work?
Yeah.
Or were you sitting there thinking, boy, I really wish I could add some cinematics to this?
Well, it's always true that looking back on the first 2 expansions, there was always this desire, man, I'd love to get in there and make movies for those. But that time came and went. And then once we were in Wrath of the Lich King, we made the Wrathgate, and that was kind of opening the door to what we see today. But as far as Classic being launched, there is an interesting symmetry to they chose the 1.12 data branch to build the game on, and that is exactly the first patch that I released when I joined the company. So I had joined the company in the summer of 2006, and my first project was the Eastern Plaguelands PvP trailer for patch 1.12. With all the people running up to the tower, and the gnome. Yeah, even had a gnome in that one, because I'm like, hey, I'm going to get a gnome in this shot, no matter what. And even though it was new and early and we didn't have any tools yet, we still put that patch together. And just the idea that there's an exact symmetry of, we're bringing the game back exactly to where it was on the day that I walked in the door at Blizzard is just really trippy to me.
So are you able to, like, I don't know, do you ever look at WoW through different lenses? Are there times where you look at it like, okay, it's work time versus it's time to get lost in the experience, or is it all kind of the same, like no matter at what point you're looking at World of Warcraft?
No, it was very different. Logging into Classic for the first time during beta, and it was because having worked on every expansion since Burning Crusade through Modern, when you're a developer on a game team, you kind of see behind the set, right? It's like working on a play, and you know all the support beams behind the sets that are keeping everything together. And so you have a look kind of into the matrix, right? You can see the matrix through the form. But playing Classic for me, since I didn't really work on 1.0, I can't see the matrix through the form anymore. I only have the veneer, and so it does strike me with a more pure expression of I remember what it was like to play this game without seeing behind the framework or seeing the wizard behind the curtain. And that was a magical moment.
Any moments of inspiration for future cinematics?
Yeah, like just, that music. I think everyone, has the greatest attachment to the first song of the first character that they played in World of Warcraft, right?
That's
Whether
true.
you played a night elf or an orc, or for me it was human, right? Like Elwyn Forest, the first 3 notes, doo doo doo, and I'm just like,
Yeah. Where's my pizza rolls? I need them.
Well, there's also aspects of BFA that have throwbacks to Classic, where there's a plot point that maybe was, abandoned a while back, and then you're like, oh, like this character is coming back years later. Like in the Darkshore Warfront, there are some characters from the classic version of WoW that are, rising up in the Sagoth, Old God, NPC. He's finally exposed in 8.1, and you wouldn't really have known about him if you, didn't do that original vanilla
the
quest.
whole legacy of the history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tomorrow there's an event going on. I don't know if everyone's
It's BlizzCon.
aware of this. Oh, is that what it's called?
Yeah, BlizzCon.
Oh, I thought it was DizCon. I thought we were all going like Disney or.
I was under the impression it was BlizzCon.
Oh, it's like 100 degrees out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this is kind of like this is the party before the party. I'm sure there's folks here that maybe it's their first time, or maybe it's been a while since they've been back to BlizzCon. Anyone have any tips, tricks? Like, what is your favorite thing to do when you come to BlizzCon? Like, anyone have like any must-haves? Not that you need to set it in stone. Like, this is the one thing you have to do. What do you really like doing?
I like smelling good.
I like deodorant.
That's
Yeah,
really
it's
important.
so great.
I like showers.
Yeah.
Pro tip.
Yeah. Don't always achieve it, of course.
It's
but
not your
you
heating
really
bill.
strive. Yeah. Like showers, deodorant, like you said, mints. But yeah, apart from
Comfortable
that-
shoes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Even though the uncomfortable ones make your butt look a lot better, but you'll feel terrible later. I always tell people that the best laid plans will probably get ruined. You'll say, "Hey man, I'm going to see you at BlizzCon," and you will not see that guy ever again. Or later. But don't worry about that. You're going to run into everybody you need to see, and if you don't see your friend, you'll see them next year. But take pictures. I always forget to take pictures, and like this event goes by like that. Like 5 seconds from now, all this will be over, and everybody will be back at home, and it'll be like, yeah, that was really fun, and I hung out with all the people I like most, and I have no pictures.
Yeah.
Just keep that in mind. Like, stay in the moment. but also take pictures.
You got to get that selfie game going.
Yeah.
Keep it.
Take pictures of yourself also. It's
There's a
important.
lot of statues. There's a lot of photo ops.
Yeah, in addition to the statues, there's always an art gallery, and I think the benefit auction this year has a lot of art pieces in it, and it's really nice to see the Blizzard world through another medium. Like, we're always just seeing, you log on, it's digital, but it's nice to see the concept art up close and personal. There's also a Murloc gathering and a March of the Pepes gathering, I believe both on Saturday. They're in the official app, so wear your Murloc onesie and bring Pepe and celebrate cuddly, cute things at Blizzard.
Is it faux pas if your Pepe is wearing the same adornments as another Pepe?
Like people make all these adornments, and they'll just give you a different adornment to wear, so they're all different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's like a swap meet for Pepes.
Yes, it's
I
like
dig.
a Pepe fashion show. Yeah.
Rad.
I think for me, BlizzCon is more than just the games. It's the community around the games, and it's always been that way. I think this is, I counted correctly, this is my 11th BlizzCon, and it's the first one I definitely came because I was like, I'm so interested in what Blizzard's doing with World of Warcraft and the games and everything, and I left going, man, that was an experience of a huge magnitude of people that love the same stuff that I do. And getting to meet all of those people, like, you leave home and then you're just sad for a little while afterwards because you're like, I want to go back and hang out with all my friends. And that's the reason why I come every year. Is it's like a family reunion. That's what BlizzCon is to me.
100%.
Yeah, I've had that experience since the first BlizzCon I came to. Since 2010 was the first year I came. And I remember being in line for like a hot dog and just getting in this really deep, nerdy conversation about bunker nerfs in Wings of Liberty with the guy behind me. Never met him before. We had like a 10-minute conversation about bunker nerfs, and it was incredible.
Yeah, the amount of conversations I've had similar to that is just astounding.
Yeah,
and I love every minute of it.
Yeah, and it doesn't go away. Like, I haven't missed a BlizzCon since. BlizzCon has missed BlizzCon since. There's been a couple off years,
Right.
but it still happens year in and year out. I meet people who we've never met each other before, we have no idea who each other are, and we have really great, excruciatingly nerdy conversations. It's like what I wish Thanksgiving was. Instead of explaining to my aunt what a podcast is for the third time.
It's in the same month. It's still November.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Although it's more Halloween for me. But yeah.
Having been at every BlizzCon since the very beginning, I remember coming to the first one as a fan, and I didn't know what to expect. I kind of figured it was going to be the same math of any other convention where everyone you'd hope to run into is going to be hiding backstage, and unless you have VIP access, you're never going to run into them. And as I walked around in 2005, we just relentlessly kept running into everyone. Like Chris Metzen, and then Sam Wise, and then the lead producer of World of Warcraft at the time. We just kept running into them. And it's because there are really no walls here. And while the first BlizzCon, which was much smaller, so was Blizzard. Blizzard was much smaller at that time. And I think that honestly, the convention has probably grown at the same rate that Blizzard has in terms of people working there. And so that ratio is still in the ballpark, and that's that a non-trivial percentage of people you are around are Blizzard employees, and they all want to engage with you. If they're out and about, I would say the one regret to try to overcome would be if you see someone, I really want to talk to them, but then if you're shy and you don't, just go for it, because you will probably go home after the con and you will be like, man, I had the opportunity and it passed me by, and they will not be offended. In fact, they will probably be happy that you took the chance to say hi.
So the first BlizzCon, were you an employee at the first BlizzCon?
No.
Okay, so was there any Blizzard employees that you kind of like fanned out on super hardcore?
Yeah.
Would you like to fess up to any of those?
Trying not to dominate the mic too much. Funny enough, while I'm a hyper lore nerd now on World of Warcraft, I wasn't so much when I first started. It was my friend Ezra who was making the movies with me that was way more into it. And he was the one that pointed out, oh, look, it's Chris Metzen over there. And I'm like, he's the writer. I'm like, oh, I get it. Right? And we introduced ourselves. But becoming a lore nerd over the years was just a matter of like, you have to know the material, right? If you're working, especially in a cinematic medium, like rule number one, know the material that you're making. So went long deep dives on that. But that first geek out with Metzen,
I remember was actually in the Looking for Group documentary. The way I described it was, we went up to him, oh, it's great to meet you, Sue. We're the ones who made this movie for the movie contest. And he lit up and was, oh, you guys made that movie? And it just flipped the script immediately. Like, why is he geeking out on us right now? This makes literally zero sense. The world is upside down.
Yeah, that's something that's really, really cool about this too, is you never there can be like reciprocal fandom when you least expect it. And it can happen. I found out on Chris Siggety really bad like 2 years ago. I may have had like a couple adult beverages. It was the end, it was over. I was in the Marriott lobby, and I'm walking out and with my wife Katie, and I'm like, hold on, that's Chris Siggety. The first podcast I ever did was about StarCraft 2: Wings of Liberty. And we never got him on the show, and I was like, the show was long dead at this point, but I just need to go tell him that I wouldn't be where I am without the game that he made. And I barely remember it. I bet he probably doesn't remember it that well either, but. Yeah.
So Thyst, do you want to tell us about meeting Hazakostas?
Oh.
Thanks, Terran.
Outed.
The first time I wasn't ready. He was so nice about it. The second time I had a list of questions, like, do you like pie? And he does, pizza pie. I asked him if that counted, and he said yes, and he's a lawyer, so he knows better than I do.
From New York, yes.
Absolutely, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, of course.
Pizza pie.
Pizza pie. And then the third time, it was me and a bunch of people, and it was amazing. And it's just, now, like, earlier, a couple hours ago, I saw him across the Hilton, and I literally ran after him, yelled at him that he was walking too fast, and then he stopped. And
New
said,
Yorkers, that's what they do.
They really do. They're very fast. They're
I
speedy.
mean, also animals in flight.
I mean, yeah. I mean, but he didn't know I was behind him until it was too late. The second year I went to I've been to BlizzCon like, 4 or 5 times now. I had a press badge, and I was in the press room, and my raid team was hungry, and you got to provide for your raid team, right? So I'm there, I've got the contraband like Oreos and the pretzels, and I'm just, I'm juggling the soda, and I walk out the side door so nobody sees me, right? Not really bad eyesight from far away, but I know Ian Hazakostas when I see him. So I'm like, I've got, the stuff, and yeah. He's coming, and I'm like, nah, it's not. And then he's coming, I'm like, no. And he's like, Thyst. I'm like, yes, sir. What are you doing with all that? I'm like, all this. Oh, my raid team's hungry, and he's like, And then, it's Ian, so like 100 people, came and talked to him while they're talking to him, shoving it in my bag. But I think the moral of this story is, talk to everybody that you like, because even if it's massively embarrassing and people keep bringing it up after a couple years, it makes for a great story. So, and everybody who works at Blizzard is really nice. And, one of the first conversations I had with Ian was like, you purposely stand out there and let people come up to you. Like, have you ever had a bad experience with that? Because you would think that, with the internet, that people might come up to people and be like, hey, man, or, not like that.
Hey, man.
I don't know how they sound, but
Yo.
But he says no. Like everybody who is here and wants to talk to him here, like face to face, is nice. And if you're nice to them, they're nice to you. And like BlizzCon is just like we all like the same thing, and like Blizzard games like overlap, and you've got something in common with everybody. And even if you're terrified of them or really attracted to them, like you can talk to them about something. So go for it.
I have an experience kind of similar to that, and it kind of ties into my advice of what to go do when you're at BlizzCon. And the first is my advice would be go see a panel that's kind of off the beaten path. Like, I love going to the What's Next panels. They're always really interesting. You're going to get nitty gritty on what's coming next for your favorite game. But like, go see an art panel if you're into art. If there's a voice actors panel and that's what you're into, go to it. I feel like there's not that many panels for nitty-gritty, like programming type stuff, but they do have signings. And
they have Codecraft this year.
Oh, they do have Codecraft?
Yeah.
Oh,
At
fantastic.
the end on Saturday.
Okay, gotcha. But also the signings are really good things to go to as well, especially if you want to get someone on one time and actually talk to them, because the signings, like the ones I've been to, they don't move you through that fast. There's time to actually interact with one another.
Ask a question or two.
Yeah, exactly. So like for me, I went to school for art. And so the first BlizzCon I ever went to, I spent most of the time at the art stage. And I sadly haven't really made it back in years past because I'm, doing stuff like this now. But it was like, for me, if you go see an artist or you go see a programmer or you go see a voice actor, any of the kind of single actors in the larger group of what makes a game happen, it really humanizes the process. And for me, it really made me realize how many individuals are involved in these games that we love, these monolithic releases that we enjoy every day of our lives. And so, meeting someone in person at my very first BlizzCon was running around with my stupid fanboy. I go to my Twitter. There's a really bad photo of me with Day 9, and I just look like the biggest fan in the world. I look like a 5-year-old meeting Mickey Mouse. However, I'm running around with my Wings of Liberty art book. And I'm like, I'm gonna get all the art. I'm gonna get the whole team to sign it. And I'm running around, and I couldn't find Samwise. Samwise wasn't at the lineup that I went to, but he was at one of the art panels. And there was a large gap between that panel ending and the next panel starting. And everyone just hung out. The whole panel just hung out afterwards. And I just went up and was like, hey, Samwise, just so you know, I just graduated from art school, big fan, you're a big inspiration. And the dude gave me the biggest bear hug ever. He was just, it's such a perfect example of how awesome everyone is that works at Blizzard and how receptive they are to wanting to hear from the people that play their games. I think it's important on both ends for that interaction, because talking online on Twitter or Reddit, it's not the same. It's not the same as face-to-face. So get out there and, meet the people that make what you love. I can't recommend it enough. So,
Gentlemen, at the end, do you have a moment that you'd like to share from BlizzCon, meeting someone, or just a favorite memory?
Yeah, for a favorite thing to do, even though it sounds a little counter to the fact, is pick your panels. Because now that we've had the virtual ticket access for the past couple of years, it's Diablo, any panel you're gonna go to, definitely.